Welcome back, listeners and watchers, to another spine-tingling episode of Relative Perspective Paranormal Confessions, the podcast where we dive deep into the shadows of the unknown. As always, I'm your host, Stephen, and tonight we're venturing into the foggy hills of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, to unravel one of the most enduring cryptid legends of all time, the Mothman. All right, picture this, a 7-foot-tall creature with glowing red eyes, wings that span more than 10 feet, chasing cars at over 100 miles per hour. Is it a bird, a demon, an alien, or something else entirely? Tonight we'll explore the origins of the Mothman, share a few chilling first-hand encounters from those who claim to have seen it, and dig into the enigma of the mysterious figure named Indrid Cold. So dim the lights, grab some popcorn, and let's step into the dark together. Okay, let's start at the beginning. It's November 15th, 1966, in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It's a chilly night, and two young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallette, are cruising around the TNT area, a stretch of abandoned World War II munitions bunkers just outside of town. This place is already creepy. It's overgrown, desolate, with concrete igloos half buried into the earth. Around midnight, they spot something that freezes their blood. A large black creature standing by the roadside. It's not a man, it's not a bird, but something in between. Linda Scarberry later described it as a slender, muscular man about 7 feet tall with white wings folded against its back. But what really haunted her was its glowing red eyes, like two burning coals staring right through them. The couples floored it, hitting speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour, but the creature kept pace, gliding above their car with unnatural ease. They reported the sighting to the Mason County Sheriff's Department, shaken and pale. The next day, the Point Pleasant Register ran a story titled "Couples See Man-Sized Bird, Creature, or Something Altogether Different." And just like that, the Mothman was born. Over the next 13 months, more than 100 people in Point Pleasant claimed to see this winged humanoid, often near the TNT area. Some described it as bird-like, others as a man with wings, but almost everyone mentioned those hypnotic red eyes. But where did the Mothman come from? Let's unpack the theories. First, the skeptical view. Many scientists, like Dr. Robert L. Smith from West Virginia University, argue the Mothman was a misidentified sandhill crane. These birds stand nearly as tall as a man, have a wingspan of up to 7 feet, and sport reddish flesh around their eyes. The TNT area, with its wetlands, was a perfect spot for an out-of-place crane, maybe one deformed by chemical runoff from the old munitions plant. It sounds plausible, right? But here's the kicker. Sandhill cranes don't chase cars at 100 miles per hour or glide silently without flapping their wings. Then we have the paranormal angle. Journalist John Keel, who investigated the sightings and wrote the 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, believed the Mothman wasn't just a creature, but a supernatural entity. Keel linked the sightings to other strange phenomena in Point Pleasant. They had UFO sightings, mysterious men in black harassing witnesses, and even precognitive visions. He suggested the Mothman could be an ultra-terrestrial. Let me see if I can say that right. Ultra-terrestrial, a being from another dimension or even a harbinger of doom. This theory gained traction after the Silver Bridge collapse on December 15, 1967, when the bridge connecting Point Pleasant to Ohio buckled during rush hour, killing 46 people. Locals whispered that the Mothman had been spotted on or near the bridge days before, as if warning or causing the tragedy. Some folklore buffs point to a darker origin, the curse of Chief Cornstalk, a Shawnee leader killed by colonial soldiers in 1777 near Point Pleasant. Legend says Cornstalk cursed the land, promising blight and misfortune. Could the Mothman be a manifestation of that curse, a spectral entity tied to the region's bloody history? During 1966 and 1967, Point Pleasant was a hotbed of UFO sightings. Witnesses reported strange lights in the skies, and some claim encounters with odd figures, including a grinning man named Indrid Cold. More on him later. Some even speculate that the Mothman could be an alien scout tied to a larger cosmic agenda. The truth is, we don't know. The Mothman could be a mix of misidentification, mass hysteria, and genuine mystery, amplified by Cold War paranoia and the era's fascination with the UFOs. But the sheer volume of sightings, over 100 in that small town, suggests something was happening. Point Pleasant became ground zero for one of America's most iconic cryptids, spawning festivals, a 12-foot Mothman statue, and a 2002 film starring Richard Gere. Whatever it is, the Mothman grip on our imagination hasn't loosened in nearly 60 years. Before we dig deeper into the account that put the Mothman on the map, this is actually the very first reported encounter that not many people have heard before, and it will definitely send shivers down your spine. It's November 12th, 1966, in Clendon in West Virginia, a small town 60 miles from Point Pleasant. A cold fog blankets the hills, and in a lonely cemetery, 5 gravediggers were working late, their lanterns casting weak light against the dark. These guys are tough men, and they're used to the grim quiet of their job. But tonight, something is watching, something out of this world. Leading the group is a guy by the name of Kenneth Duncan, a seasoned gravedigger that was known for hard work and keeping to himself. With him are Roy Parsons, a very devout Christian man, Tom Reed, a veteran, and the young Harper cousins, Billy and Eddie. They're digging a grave under a starless sky, the fog growing thicker by the minute, and the air feels heavy, like a storm stirring. But there's no thunder, only silence, until Kenneth feels an uneasy feeling. A chill crawls up Kenneth's spine, like eyes are boring into him from the dark. He pauses, shovel in hand, and squints into the fog. The others keep working, unaware. Then he hears it, a low, pulsing hum. It's not an animal, nor is it a machine, but it sounds alive. It's coming from the tree line just about 30 or 40 yards away. Kenneth raises his lantern, and that's when he sees it. A shadow darting between trees, too large and way too fast to be a human. Now that is when all the men are frozen as the figure steps into view. 7 feet tall, slender but muscular, with wings folded like a cloak. Its eyes glow red like burning coals, locking onto them with an intelligence that feels ancient and predatory. Kenneth later told the sheriff that it glided and it didn't walk, hopping from tree to tree like it didn't need the ground. And those eyes, they look through you. Roy whispers a prayer, Tom grips his shovel like a weapon, and the Harper cousins stumble back, nearly falling right into the hole they had just helped dig. Then they notice the fog thickens, the air grows colder, as if the creature's controlling it himself. It moves closer, gliding toward the grave. Its feet were barely touching the earth. The hum intensifies, now a pressure in their skulls like something's probing their minds. Billy gasps, breaking the silence, and the creature stops just beyond the lantern's light, its red eyes casting a faint glow on the mist. For a moment, the men are trapped in its gaze. Their heads were pounding, and their thoughts were scrambling with fear. Then, with a sudden jerk, the creature turns. Its wings unfurl, more than 10 feet wide, leathery and veined, and it launches into the air, vanishing into the fog. The hum finally fades, leaving only the men's ragged breathing and the drip of dew from the trees. They drop their tools, scramble to their truck, leaving the grave unfinished. They drive straight to the sheriff's office, faces pale and hands shaking. Deputy George Hensley took their report, noting their terror. All 5 men, Kenneth, Roy, Tom, Billy, and Eddie, told the same story. A winged creature, red eyes, moving like nothing they'd ever seen before. They weren't drunk and they weren't seeking fame. It's real, Kenneth insisted, and it wasn't from here. The sheriff found no tracks, no evidence at the cemetery, just an unnatural stillness. This was the first Mothman sighting 3 days before Point Pleasant's terror began. Was it testing the shadows, choosing its moment, or was it something older, awakened by their shovels in the earth? I'd like you to picture it. You're in that fog, your lantern flickering, and those red eyes are staring from you in the dark. I know what I would do, but how would you have reacted in that situation? Drop your answers in the comments, or you can share any creepy encounters you've had. If this gave you chills, smash that like button and subscribe, but don't leave, because we're just getting started. Here's where the Mothman really caught traction. It was because of this sighting that made the Mothman a household name. We hit on it a little bit at the beginning, but we would never do this tale any good if we didn't dig deeper into the encounter. Roger and Linda Scarberry, along with Steve and Mary Mallette, were just kids, teenagers out for a late-night drive in Roger's 1957 Chevy. It was November 15, 1966, just 3 days after the cemetery encounter. The 2 young couples were cruising through the TNT area, a maze of dirt roads and abandoned bunkers. Around midnight, as they passed an old power plant, Roger slowed the car. There, in the glow of his headlights, stood something impossible. Linda Scarberry later told the Point Pleasant Register it was like a man, but not. 7 feet tall, with a muscular torso and no discernible head, just 2 glowing red eyes where the face should be. Its wings were folded against its back like a bat's, but they shimmered white in the light. Roger froze, his hands gripping the wheel. Mary Mallette whispered, "What in the hell is that?" Before anyone could answer, the creature moved. It didn't run, it glided, unfolding its wings and lifting off the ground without a sound. That's when Roger slammed on the gas, tires spinning on the gravel. The Chevy roared down the road, hitting nearly 100 miles per hour, but the creature kept up, soaring above the car, its wings barely moving. Linda said it made no noise. The wings weren't flapping and no screeching, just an oppressive silence. She kept looking back with those red eyes locked on them, unblinking. Steve shouted for Roger to turn on Route 62, hoping the main road would shake it. As they hit the highway, the creature veered off, vanishing into the night. The couple sped to the sheriff's office, pale and trembling. Deputy Millard Halstead took their statement, noting they were visibly terrified, not drunk or high. They described the creature as bird-like, but insisted it wasn't a bird. It was a man with wings, Linda said, and it wanted us to see it. The sheriff searched the TNT area that night, but found nothing. No tracks, no feathers, just an eerie stillness. This sighting set off waves of reports in Point Pleasant. Some dismissed it as kids exaggerating, but the Scarberrys and Malletts stuck to their story for decades. Linda, in particular, was haunted by the encounter, saying she felt the Mothman was watching her long after that night. Was it a crane, a hallucination, or something that chose them to be the ones to share its terror? Our third story comes just a few days later in late November 1966, and it's one of the most chilling group sightings on record. The Wamsley family, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, 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 get it off me, do not. Ava, get it off, get it off, get it off. There's a freaking rat on me. Holy shit. Get it off. Get it, get it, get it. Oh my God. Get away. Get away. God help me, please, Jesus. Love you. Get out of here. Get away. My daughter thinks these rats are freaking cute. I can't talk, I'm shaking. Marcella Bennett, her baby daughter Tina, and her brother Raymond were visiting friends, the Thomases, who lived near the TNT area around 9 p.m. Marcella, carrying Tina, walked out to her car with Raymond. The night was cold, the air was heavy with fog. As they approached the car, Marcella felt a prickling sensation on the back of her neck, like someone was watching her. She looked up and froze. There, sprawled across the hood of the car, was the Mothman. Marcella described it as a gray humanoid figure nearly 7 feet tall with massive wings folded behind it. Its red eyes glowed so intensely she felt dizzy, like they were pulling her in. She screamed, clutching Tina, but the creature didn't move. Raymond grabbed her arm, shouting, "Run!" The Mothman suddenly rose, its wings snapping open with a sound like a canvas tearing. It lifted off, hovering above them for a moment, and those eyes never broke contact. Kind of like that damn rat. Crackhead. Marcella stumbled back to the Thomas' house, collapsing in hysterics. Raymond said the creature followed them, gliding low over the trees, its wings casting shadows in the moonlight. The Thomases locked the doors, and for hours they heard strange noises, scratching on the roof, low hums like something circling the house. Marcella later told John Keel she felt the Mothman wasn't just curious, it was angry, like they trespassed on its territory. She also reported a lingering sense of dread, even developing an eye irritation, some linked to the Mothman's gaze, a condition called actinic conjunctivitis. Skeptics argue they saw a large owl, maybe a barrel owl with reflective eyes, but Marcella insisted it was not an owl, and owls couldn't move like that, or instill such primal fear. The Wamsley sighting added fuel to the idea that the Mothman wasn't just a passive observer. It was territorial, maybe even dangerous.
Looking up, I could see it was something that I had never saw before in my life. It looked like a human, but it looked like it had wings like a bird, and it had its head kind of stuck down in like a bird, and its shoulders kind of back like that, and was looking at me. And I just freaked out. It was beyond my imagination of ever seen a creature that looked like that. And I wasn't even thinking. The only thing I could think was that I wanted to turn and run. And when I turned to run, I fell and on top of my daughter. And when I fell on top of my daughter, I could hear her crying, but I was just like I was paralyzed. I couldn't move my body. First of all, when I was lying on the ground, any second, I was expecting this creature to just reach down with claws and just pick me up and fly away. It was just that I just had that feeling that it was just gonna pick me up and fly away with me.
Fast forward to 2020, and the Mothman legend is alive and well, far from West Virginia. Our third encounter takes us to Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, where a U.S. Postal Service worker reported a chilling sighting. This woman, a 15-year veteran, was leaving the USPS sorting facility around 11 p.m. on September 24th. The parking lot was dimly lit, and she noticed a tall figure at the far end near a chain-link fence. At first, she thought it was a man in a long coat, maybe a co-worker, but as she unlocked her car, the headlights caught the figure's face, or lack thereof. She described a humanoid creature over 6 feet tall with broad bat-like wings tucked against its back. Its eyes glowed red, not just reflecting light, but emitting it, like twin lasers. She froze, her keys slipping from her hand. The creature took a step forward. Its movement was jerky, almost mechanical. Then, with a single flap of its wings, it shot upward, clearing the fence and vanishing into the night sky. The worker said the air felt heavy, like a storm was coming, and she smelled something strange like burnt metal. She reported the sighting to her supervisor, who brushed it off, but later shared her story with paranormal researcher Lon Strickler, who documented over 55 Mothman-like sightings in Chicago between 2011 and 2020. This encounter stands out for its modern context, an urban setting, a credible witness, and no obvious explanation. Yeah, you making too much noise, hush your mouth. You messing me up just like your sister. She brings a damn rat and puts it on me, knowing I'm trying to do a show. Ugly ass rat. I'm picking, bud. Anyways, Chicago's Lake Michigan wetlands could host large birds, but nothing matches the speed and eerie presence she described. Some speculate the Mothman is drawn to areas of impending disaster, and Chicago's history of crime and tragedy fuels that theory. Was this the same entity from Point Pleasant, or a new manifestation? These three encounters, spanning decades and locations, paint a picture of a creature that defies easy explanation. From the 5 Gravediggers to the Scarberry's high-speed chase to Marcella's terrifying close encounter to a postal worker's modern sighting, the Mothman seems to choose its moments, appearing to ordinary people in extraordinary ways. But there's another figure tied to this mystery, one who might hold the key to what the Mothman really is. His name is Indrid Cold, also known as the Grinning Man. If the Mothman is a shadowy figure, Indrid Cold is its cryptid counterpart, a humanoid entity who appeared in West Virginia around the same time as the Mothman sightings. His story adds a layer of high strangeness to the already bizarre tale, blending UFO lore, telepathy, and a smile that's anything but friendly. The Indrid Cold story begins on November 2nd, 1966, just weeks before the first Mothman sighting. Woodrow Derenberger, a sewing machine salesman from Parksburg, West Virginia, about an hour north of Point Pleasant, was driving home on Interstate 77 around 7:30 p.m. A strange craft shaped like a kerosene lamp chimney landed on the road right in front of his truck. A man stepped out dressed in a metallic suit with slick back hair and a wide, unnatural grin. He didn't speak aloud but communicated telepathically. He's introduced himself as Indrid Cold from a planet known as Lanilus. Cold told Derenberger he was here to observe humanity, not to harm. The conversation lasted about 10 minutes, with Cold asking about the human life, cities, work, even the Vietnam War. Derenberger said Cold's grin never wavered, and his eyes were unnervingly intense, almost hypnotic. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, Cold returned to his craft and vanished. Derenberger reported the encounter to local police, who found him shaken but sincere. He later wrote a book, Visitors from Lanilus, and stuck to his story until his death despite ridicule. But here's where it gets weird. John Keel, investigating the Mothman, received strange phone calls from someone claiming to be Indrid Cold. These calls, often filled with cryptic warnings or garbled voices, coincide with the Mothman flap. Keel also heard from other witnesses who encountered a grinning man in Point Pleasant, often near TNT area sightings. Some described him as human-like, but off, with stiff movements or a smile that seemed painted on. One witness, a teenager, said a man matching Cold's description approached her outside a diner, asked about the Mothman, then walked away and vanished in the thin air. I found an interview, I think this was his first interview actually, after his encounter the next day, and I got a couple of minutes for you right here. Go ahead and take a look, and I'll put a link down below to the whole thing if y'all would like to listen to the whole thing.
Mr. Derenberger, in your own words, would you please relate what happened last night?
Well, I am a salesman, and I drive a truck, and last night, shortly after 7 o'clock, I was coming from Marietta, Ohio, coming down Interstate 77. And just before I came to the intersection of Route 47, there was a car past me, overtaking me from behind, and following closely behind this car was this unidentified flying object. And as the car ahead, or the car behind passed me, this object was following close behind it, and it swerved directly in front of my truck, turning crosswise. And when it turned crosswise, it slowed down. It started slowing, not abruptly or too fast, but it gave me plenty of time to step on my brakes and slow down with it. But it forced me to come to a complete stop. As soon as I had stopped, there was a door opened in the side of this vehicle, and this man stepped out and came directly to me, or came to the truck. He walked to the right-hand side of the truck, and he told me to roll down the window. He asked me to roll down the window on my right-hand side of my truck. And I had done what he asked. And this man stood there, and he first asked me what I was called. And I knew he meant my name, and I told him my name. And he asked me, he said, why are you frightened? He said, don't be frightened, we wish you no harm. He said, we mean you no harm, we wish you only happiness. And I told him my name, and when I told him my name, he said he was called Cold. That was the name that he was called by. Again, he told me not to be frightened, which I was. I was very frightened. And as far as I can understand, this was all mental. There was no spoken words from him. I knew what he was asking me, but yet he stood there and his mouth did not move. He had a smile on his face. He appeared very courteous and friendly. And after I talked with him a while, he told me he would see me. He said, we will see you again, and he left in his vehicle.
So, who or what is Indrid Cold? Keel theorized he was an ultra-terrestrial like the Mothman, part of a broader phenomenon manipulating human perception. Ufologists see him as an alien, possibly connected to the UFOs reported in Point Pleasant. Others link him to the Men in Black, those shadowy figures who intimidated Mothman witnesses, warning them to stay silent. Paranormal researcher Gray Barker, who actually popularized the Men in Black concept, suggested Cold was a trickster figure, sowing confusion to obscure the truth. The timing is key. Cold's appearance just before the Mothman sighting suggests a connection. Were they part of the same phenomena? Was Cold a scout preparing the way for the Mothman, or a distraction to keep people guessing? Derenberger claimed Cold visited him multiple times, always friendly but cryptic, hinting at a coming event. Some tie this to the Silver Bridge collapse, though there's no direct evidence. My take, Indrid Cold feels like a piece of a larger puzzle. His telepathic communication, his otherworldly craft, and his eerie presence mirror the Mothman's ability to instill fear and fascination. Maybe they're two sides of the same coin, entities testing humanity's reaction to the unknown. Or maybe Cold was a human-like facade for something far stranger, using that grin to mask its true nature. You know, we may never know Indrid Cold's true role, but his story amplifies the Mothman's mystery. Together, they create a tapestry of high strangeness: winged creatures, UFOs, telepathic visitors, and a town gripped by fear. Point Pleasant in 1966 and 67 wasn't just a cryptic hotspot, it was a paranormal epicenter. So what is the Mothman? A misidentified bird, a supernatural omen, an alien, or something that science refuses to look into? Or maybe they know, but they won't tell us the truth. Who knows? The encounters we've shared tonight, the 5 men working in the graveyard late one night, Linda Scarberry's high-speed chase, Marcella Bennett's terrifying face-off, and the O'Hare workers' modern sighting, suggest a phenomena that's both physical and otherworldly. When we add Indrid Cold's grinning presence and the creepy presence of the men in black, and you've got a mystery that has yet to be solved. Here's what I think. The Mothman is a mirror. It reflects our fears, our curiosity, and our need to explain the unexplainable. In the 1960s, it tapped into Cold War anxiety and UFO mania. Today, it resonates with our unease about the unknown, be it environmental disasters or cosmic visitors. Whether it's a crane, a demon, or an ultra-terrestrial, the Mothman forces us to confront the limits of our understanding. Okay, guys, that's it for tonight. Thanks for listening and watching. I hope you liked it as much as I like making it for you. You know, I have to ask you guys what you think about these true encounters. Have you seen the Mothman or something like it? Maybe you've got a theory about the Men in Black and the Indrid Cold character. Or if you've had any type of paranormal encounter, let me know in the comments below, or you can email me at relativeperspective76@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. The links are down below in the descriptions, and maybe we can showcase your story in a future episode. We try to read all the comments, and don't forget to smash that like button. And the word for today is subscribe. My wife cannot win that bet. And until next week, keep your eyes on the skies and your doors locked. I hope y'all have an awesome week. God bless you. We love you, and good night.